How's it going, everybody? The live stream going on here. Let's see if we can get anybody to join us tonight. Give us just a couple minutes and then we'll go ahead and get started. You can tell by what the title is here. I want to talk about memories today. It's what I preached on, and it also is very interesting to me. People maybe have best memories of Kittanning. So if you have any of those, you can go ahead and put them in the comments, and we'll make sure to read them and share them, and I'll give you some of mine. I've only been here for 8 years, but maybe I'll give you some childhood stuff and some of my best memories of Kittanning thus far. So bear with me here. I'm going to share this around. If you're here early and you want to share it too, then feel free to do so, and we'll just see if we can get some people on here for a conversation. Kelly's in the house. Great to have you, Kelly. It's good to see you today. And let's see here. Aaron's in the house too. Oh, we got 5 people here already. Fantastic. So if you're just joining, I'm interested in your best memories of Kittanning, or even if just like you have some best memories of childhood or of your teenage years. I'll explain a little bit more in just a minute. Okay. All right, that's done. So, who else is here? Oh, just the 2 of you thus far. So yeah. Do you guys have any good memories of childhood? Did you even grow up in Kittanning? Kelly, I don't know if you did. Aaron, I don't know if you did. I don't know if anyone else watching did. I grew up in Hawley, Minnesota. In fact, I made a video on that last summer. I was visiting at home and I got some drone footage of Hawley and told the story of me growing up a little bit. But what is really interesting to me, we started a sermon series today called Forgotten Things, and so it's really interesting to me as we go through the Bible. There's a lot of things that God instituted in the Old Testament that we have kind of neglected, and I think we do that because we kind of have this mentality of, well, that was Old Testament and we're in the New Testament now and everything is different. And that's true to a certain extent, that everything is different, but there's some things like God gave all these festivals and feast days and days of rest and all those kinds of things that haven't changed at all. Like, nobody's arguing that like the 10 commandments no longer apply. Like, it's okay to go out and lie and slander and covet your neighbor's wife and murder and all these different things. Like, nobody says that. Nobody says, oh, we're in the New Testament now, so I can worship idols. Like, no, of course not. And so why would we take these things that God said that these will be feast days for you forever? Why would we take those things and then just completely ignore them? That doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm just as guilty as anybody else. So we're going through this sermon series called Forgotten Things, and we're trying to go through and remember some of these things that God said not to forget. And so that's what we talked about today, was remembering. And my challenge to everyone in the church, which also will go out to challenge to all of you guys, was take your life and put it in 10-year blocks, and take a piece of paper, and for every 10 years, so ages 0 to 10, you would write down all your memories from ages 0 to 10, and just the things that stick out to you most, the things that stick out to you first, and just take 15 minutes to a half an hour and go through those things. Same thing from ages 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and so on. And then we're going to use that over the coming weeks, and maybe even in the live streams we'll still use that too. I'd be really interested to kind of learn more about you guys, and maybe you can learn some more about me too. See who else is here. Melissa's in the house. Good to have you, Melissa. I hope you're feeling well. Continuing to pray for you and for a full recovery. Aaron says, no, I grew up in the Leechburg, Vandergrift, Apollo area. I've only lived in Kittanning since April of 2017. Okay, so you're still kind of, were you Armstrong County then, or were you Westmoreland? I'm not sure. Depends on where you live down there, I guess. But either way, I'd be curious to know if any memories that you guys have of childhood, anything that's maybe positive or negative. Um, it could be good, could be bad stuff, but either way, I think it's good to kind of go through those things that happened in childhood, and even if they're bad memories, begin to work through them, begin to figure out how God wants to use them in your life to kind of advance His mission on the earth, because He's into that business. He's into redeeming everything, and so it's very exciting to me the potential that's there in us remembering individual things, and then corporately as the church, and of course even as a nation. I'm going to be talking about in coming weeks of like the founding of our nation and the founding of some of the colleges in the United States and all the things that have been forgotten. Our culture right now doesn't want to talk about any of that stuff, but it's incredibly important, and it's like vital information. You have to know where your roots are. So, anyways, Todd says, one day I would like to go to the Mckean Renaissance Festival. I have no idea what that is. Is it like a big deal? I feel like I need to look it up now. Mckean Renaissance Festival in Holly, Michigan. That's a different Holly, but that's really interesting. Mine is Holly, Minnesota, but Holly, Michigan. Attendance of 240,000 people. That is a big deal. Holy mackerel. Anyways, that's cool. And Todd says, I want a rematch at Super Checks. Yeah, Todd and I finally got together this week. We had some pizza at Bugsy's, and we played Super Checks bubble hockey, and I won. I'm not going to rub it in, but I would just like the world to know that I beat Todd Johns at bubble hockey. Melissa says, I go to the doctor tomorrow morning. Very good. Hoping, praying for a good report for you. Aaron says, both counties, lived in Westmoreland and Armstrong. So I lived in Westmoreland and Armstrong too. I actually moved here from Greensburg to Armstrong County. So, and Kelly grew up in Ford City. Well, we'll forgive you for that, Kelly. But I hope you had good memories of childhood in Ford City. And even if there are some bad ones there too, like it's still important for us to go through it and think about it and figure out, like I said, how God wants to use it. So anyways, as I was going through and thinking about, been thinking about this a lot, and our time in Kittanning, and some of the things that really stuck out to me were the first time that we came to Kittanning. I can remember my wife and I was going to propose to her the first time we visited Kittanning. And so I had a ring in my pocket, and we were going to go hiking. And I can remember we went on the trail, the Armstrong Trail. We actually parked at Sheets, I think. If she's listening, she'll correct me. But I'm pretty sure we parked at Sheets, and we started walking on the trail. And so I had no idea how much of the trail was in town. Like, we were going to walk to Buttermilk. We were going to make a day of it, okay? And we walked all the way through town, and like got to almost to the end of the trail in town, and I was like, this is ridiculous. This is crazy. Like, I wanted a nature hike. I didn't want to walk through town. So we walked all the way back to the car, and we drove out to the Buttermilk, like the entrance, and then hiked out there. And by then I was like so frustrated because I wanted to propose. And so I was nervous and all these different things. And finally, we got all the way out to Buttermilk, and there was like 1 million people there. And I was like, I don't want to propose now. And so there was all these little side trails. If you've ever hiked Buttermilk out there, we went down one of the little side trails, and there was a big rock out there over the water. And we went out on the rock, and that's where I proposed to my wife. And so we started off with really good memories in Kittanning. And then just all kinds of different things. It was like after we bought the building, we started to work on it, and we were very concerned because there was, in the third floor, it looked like there was like mold on the walls. And so we went in, and we immediately started to clean that night. and I sprayed the first mold, or I sprayed what we thought was mold with mold killer, and it just like evaporated. And I got so excited because I was like, that's not mold. I thought it was mold, but it's not. It was like something that we were going to live up there, and so, we want it to be safe. And as soon as I sprayed it, I just remember feeling this incredible burden lifted off my shoulders, and it was almost like I was so terrified because I had basically just put my life savings, with my wife of 6 months at this point, 5 months at this point in time, and I really put both of us into a financial position of like kind of risking it all here, and then going to have to work on the building and do all of these different things. And it was very difficult, but I can remember in that moment I was like, okay, God is with us. I think I was maybe doubting a little bit up to that point. Like, I can remember after we signed the papers on the building, I didn't feel good at all. I just felt sick. Like, I was kind of miserable. Um, and then I remember when we sprayed that first thing and it wasn't mold, I was like, I finally felt like, okay, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna make it through this, because I didn't know how we were gonna do it. Honestly, before that, I had no idea. But God really got us through. And then it's kind of like reality hit after I opened the business. There were a lot of different things that happened where we started way, way behind from where we should have. And I don't want to get into all that, but it was very difficult in the beginning because we were like outsiders. And so nobody trusted me. And I was like 20, let's see, I'd have been 26 years old. So I was young. I was just basically a kid trying to run this business and trying to figure everything out. And we didn't have any family here. I didn't know a single person in town. Like, we had absolutely nothing other than each other. It was just the two of us trying to like work it out. And the first 6 months was really, really hard. I never paid myself, I don't think, in the first 6 months of business. And so it makes it difficult when you don't have any income and you don't foresee having any income in the future. But God really took care of us, and the business grew, and we were able to really make some headway and really create a great business. And then all the different things happened with church and all that kind of stuff. But I was thinking like my beginning time in Kittanning, like those are all great memories for me. And at the time they were very difficult, but I can see God working in all of it. And then of course we started having children, and then everything was just a blur from there. There's so many more that I could talk about if I was writing down from my late 20s to today, or over the last 10 years, all the best memories. And those are just Kittanning, obviously. All my favorite memories are still with my kids and with my wife, and buying the house and all the different moments that we've had here. And like, one of my favorite moments is Abby and her first day at Summer of Serve. It's still one of the favorite videos that I ever made, and I was still leery at that point about taking my kids out to work with me. But Abby came out and she worked her tail off. She was like 5 years old, and she just worked and worked and worked and worked. And at the end of the day, she was so happy and so excited and wanted to do it again. And that was my great desire, was that someday they would want to serve in the same capacity that we were serving. And I didn't want to introduce them to it too young so that they would hate it. And so I kind of let them do whatever they want to do when they come and do Summer of Serve, because I want them to like it. I want them to have joy when they're doing something that God calls them to do. And so I can remember after that day, I was just like so happy that she was happy. And so yeah, all those little moments where your kids get to know God, and when they begin to kind of press into a new life and a new relationship with Him, and when they begin to pray, and you catch them singing worship songs and like all these different little things. And none of them are monumental, but they all feel monumental when you're going through it, and it's exciting to just see them grow and to change. And I don't know, a lot of good stuff has happened since we moved to Kittanning, and I have a lot of fond memories here. And someday, if God ever takes us away from this place, it's gonna be really difficult to leave. I don't anticipate that happening anytime soon, um, but yeah, it's fun. So I don't know. No one else is talking on here, so either I'm a really good storyteller, or you are, or you're just enjoying the the time here. But do you guys have anything that you have, like memories in Kittanning or something from childhood? Or Aaron, you have memories in Armstrong County, or Kelly, memories in Ford City? Or are the memories like not good from childhood and you don't want to talk about it? That's okay too, because I have a lot of, negative things that I could talk about as well, but um, wanted to keep it positive. And I know that even if people are watching this after the fact, I know there's a lot of things in Kittanning from people's childhoods that they um, really reminisce about. Like, I always have people that tell me stories about when Market Street was just packed out, and people would go there on Friday nights and Saturday nights, and you couldn't find a parking spot. It was just the place to be. Or people would go to the 5 and 10, and they would buy penny candy, and they'd go there shopping there with their parents and all those kinds of things. Um, so yeah, it's really. I know there's a lot of things in Kittanning that people miss, but I'm my prayer is that as we continue to see the downtown transform, that we'll all begin to create new memories, and that it'll be a place that people want to raise their children, and that our children will have memories about Kittanning that they won't look anything like they did 60 years ago, but they're going to feel the same. They're going to feel the sense of community. They're going to feel the sense of this is my place. This is where I belong, and this is somewhere I'm proud to be from again. I think that we're seeing that. We're seeing that shift, and we're seeing that start to turn the corner a little bit. There's been a lot of struggle over the past year, but I look at that as a major positive. Like, when we get pushback, that means that people care. When people have diverging views on how to move forward, that means that people actually care again. And I think when we first moved here, what we really experienced of people's attitude toward Kittanning was that nobody cared anymore. That it was just kind of a lost cause, that nobody really wanted to fight for Kittanning anymore. And I really believe that we're seeing that change. And I think that we need to obviously not just have that mentality about the city, but we have to have that mentality about the people. Like, we have to recognize that each and every person in Kittanning has value, that no one's worth throwing away or discarding, and nobody is worth leaving behind. Nobody's worth giving up on. Like, every single person, there's an opportunity for redemption, no matter how far they've fallen. And so we have to look at it like that too. Aaron tried to send it, but it said it was too long. Oh, that's disappointing. Did you lose the whole message? Because that would be a bear to type again. But if it's still there, you can copy and paste it into a Word document and then just send it in little bite-sized pieces. Melissa says, Mark Montgomery was my old neighbor. He knows the kids when they were little. Well, that is super cool. Did he live in Vandergrift, or you both lived in Delmont or Greensburg, or how did that work? That's like a really small world. Yeah, I love Mark, and it's been really cool to see his life transform over the past, what would it be, 4 or 5 years probably, I guess, since I've known him. And yeah, God's really working in his life. We both lived in an apartment building in Pitcairn. How cool. That's really neat. I did not know that. I don't know how I didn't know that, but I didn't. So Melissa, where did you grow up? I thought you always lived in Vandergrift, but maybe that's not the case. Oh, okay. Erin sent it to me on Messenger. So she said, I remember when I was between 10 and 12, and my dad had a huge garden, and that winter there was a frozen tomato plant, and my mom and dad went down the hill, and my mom rolled off, and my dad hit the frozen tomato. That's awesome. So they like slipped and fell down the hill? Is that the case, Aaron? Because if so, that's hilarious. He literally lived in the apartment next door to me. I grew up in Pitcairn. Okay, very cool. That's awesome. Um, yeah, I grew up in a Holly, and then when I was, well, we moved around like a million different times. So I lived in Holly, Minnesota. Then we lived in Fargo, North Dakota, Moorhead, Minnesota, which is like the same area. And then we lived in Sabin, back to Holly, and then I moved to Dent, Minnesota, and I went to high school in Perham, Minnesota. So it's like we moved all over the place, but my parents finally built like a forever home, and then that's where they wanted to live on the lake, and um, so that's where I spent my high school years at least. And then when I was 18, I moved to Pittsburgh. I lived in the North Hills of Pittsburgh with my aunt and uncle for 1 year, and then I lived on the north side of Pittsburgh on California Avenue. That was fun. I only lived there for a summer basically, and then I went to school in Greensburg. And so when I was in Greensburg, I lived on campus for 1 semester. Then I bought a house when I was 19 years old in Greensburg, and yeah, then my life went kind of severely downhill. Well, really, just ever since I started drinking in high school, my life was kind of like on a downhill slide. And then Jesus took over my life when I was 23, and everything changed from that point. Like, it's been a crazy, awesome journey since then. Um, I lived in Greensburg then for a couple more years after that, and my wife and I moved to Kittanning when I was 26 and she was 27, I guess. Um, so yeah, that's been our life. It's been really interesting and really fun. I wouldn't change any of it. I'd maybe do some things a little bit differently, because as you get older and you go through things, you get a little bit wiser on how to handle things and handle situations, and you learn your own limits. That was my biggest problem, is I never thought that I had limits. I thought that I could just go 24 hours a day, and in many ways I still have that problem. Like, even today, I don't know, like this afternoon, my body basically just gave out on me. I sat down on the couch and I edited the church video, and then I just passed out. And it was kind of like summer serves over, and I preached this morning, and it was like all of these things were kind of building up to Saturday. And after Saturday, it was like this big emotional release that I'm just experiencing today. And so I feel a freedom in my mind that I haven't felt all summer, or that I haven't felt really since the pandemic started in March. So I just feel personally I'm kind of entering into a different season, and I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about what memories are going to be made over the coming weeks, and I'm really excited about what God's going to do through September and through the beginning of October. So I think that's it, you guys. If you're watching this after the fact and you have any memories of Kittanning, put them in the comments, and maybe I'll make a video of that someday if I could get some people. I'd love to do like more man on the street interviews, and I'd love to get more people's kind of opinions on what Kittanning used to be like and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. It's just a place to start and a fun conversation to have. But I'll challenge you guys, if you have, we all have time, right? Which is how we use it. So take some time over the coming week, if you would. Write down on a piece of paper, ages 0 to 10. Write down the memories that you have, or the first things that come to mind. From 10 to 20, 20 to 30. Go ahead and do that, and then maybe we'll be able to use it for some future conversation. That's it, you guys. I'm going to head out. I'm going to go edit some videos and relax a little bit, and I just pray that you guys have a great week ahead. have a but yeah, just be watching and paying attention, and there's good things ahead, Kittanning, and those of you that don't live here, there's good things ahead for you too. God is continuing to redeem all of our stories, and I don't know where He has us going, but I'm sure excited to be on the journey with you. All right, have a good night, you guys. Talk to you later.